Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Richard Schultz. How are you, Richard?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Looking forward to learning about all the things that you do, especially the mindset stuff. But I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and let us know exactly what you're up to nowadays.
Great. Well, what I'm up to right now is a lot of joy within me. I'm doing this program called Jumps for Joy right now, and the idea started a while ago, and there's just this inner joy just bubbling up inside of me. I'm doing that as part of my Wisdom Ways company. So I work in two main areas, and both are from the inner perspective. One is with leadership and the inner work of a leader or a person. That might be the mindset. So what are your beliefs, your limiting beliefs? Mm-hmm. What emotional triggers do you have? Mm-hmm. And something that I work with more extensively now is something that's called shadow. Carl Jung termed that term shadow, which is I'm finding is where the real freedom resides, is looking at the shadow elements, what drives us from the shadow, and how to get in touch and reclaim the shadow. The second area I work with is culture in organizations. Again, it's the inner world is the culture, the way the interactions, the relationships are what creates the outer world. And I do that through another organization with some partners in Europe called Elevate Work at elevatework.ca. Mm-hmm. And my company Wisdom Ways is wisdomways.net.
Cool. And this shadow, can we talk more about this? I'm thinking when you say shadow, I'm thinking about my shadow, right? Like behind me. So what can you elaborate more on that?
I'd love to, and that's what's so cool about the term shadow. Carl Jung brought that forward, but there's so much nice metaphors around it. Yeah. Like you cannot escape your shadow, right? You can run around. The only time you can escape your shadow is when you've got a brilliant light shining through you. There's no shadow.
Perfection.
Yeah. Well, perfection in many ways. Yeah. But there's a light. You're looking, it dissolves when you actually look at it. But otherwise, it's going to chase you around for your entire life until you actually go and shine light on it. Right?
Okay.
So shadow, in the sense, is anything that we hate, can't stand, we've rejected, don't own. Can't stand within our field. So in an entrepreneur's world, maybe myself, one of my shadows was I hated incompetence. Right? Couldn't stand incompetence. So
is that like pet peeves?
It's triggers. Emotionally charged things.
Let me think what mine are. That's a good topic. Yeah.
It's fantastic. So what happens with shadow when it begins in our early childhood, usually in the first 7 years or so, and it can happen later, is we have an experience with our parents, and maybe our parents have their own shadows, their own wounding, and they can't stand anger. You know, like if you had an angry outburst, you got beat up or something, you got abused or whatever. So it wasn't safe in that environment to be angry, as an example. So that anger gets suppressed, repressed inside and held. And you're not supposed to be angry, and you maybe become the good boy who's always nice and things like this. But when you do that, you lose the other capacity, the capacity to use anger appropriately. Anger is a natural emotion. So what happens, anger, as an example, as a shadow, is an extremely powerful emotion. And to hold it in, we have this physical body, we also have this emotional body.
Yes.
We trap this energy in our emotional body, like anger or other emotions or other ideas in our mind. And we create a story about it. But this anger has to go somewhere. And with our will, we stop this emotion, which is energy in motion. It can't be really stopped, but it's stopped with our will in a tight circle and held in our emotional body. Now that becomes very unhealthy. as a physical being, that can create dis-ease in our body and other issues when we try to hold it. But then anger as a powerful emotion cannot really be held very long. And so we have these outbursts, might be road rage or something like this. And one little thing ticks us off and there's an explosion, which releases some of the pressure and we're all right for a while. The other thing with anger or other shadows is if we can't be that ourselves, like whatever we cannot be with will never let us be, we will project it into our world. So we'll attract angry people around us.
Yes, like attracts like.
They're angry. Yeah. And so we can say, they're angry, not me. And that will trigger us. We have an angry person. Yeah. Incompetence is one too. So if we hate incompetence and we don't own that we are incompetent sometimes, we might attract a whole bunch of incompetent people around us, and they continue to show up in our life, and we continue in this battle against our shadow. And the only way to deal with the shadow is not creating a positive belief, I'm okay. It's about going towards the fear, towards the shadow, processing it and reintegrate it.
So can you give an example how you can bring it back into entrepreneurship, for example, anger?
Yeah. So anger, or let's look at incompetence as an entrepreneur. Well, there's a number of things. So we're trying, as people, entrepreneurs, they want freedom. So there's something that drives them towards freedom. Yeah, you're winning. There's something inner that drives them, and often that's the shadow that's driving them to success. It's a good thing that we created this. There's a setup in life. So maybe a shadow is, I can't stand poverty. My family was poor, and I'm going to be rich. It becomes a driver. Or I'm not. I'm stupid, I'm intelligent, I don't want to be that. That's what was projected onto me. Yeah. And you fight that, and you go to university, you prove to the world that you're smart. And so for an entrepreneur, they're trying to find freedom from poverty, freedom from control, being controlled. So the control in the corporate world, I don't like this. I want my freedom. I want to be out there. So they hate control. They might hate boredom. They might hate failure as a driver, not good enough. They might have all of these shadows within them. And those are good things for an entrepreneur, at least at the start. That drives us. It takes us to a place. Okay. However, it continually haunts them from the inside out. The shadow will follow them around. In times like this, if an entrepreneur has intense fear of poverty, they will have the anxiety and fear that goes on in these disruptive times, and they can't be fully present. They can't be free. They can't play as much. They're not free because their anxiety about losing or failing is there in the background.
But couldn't they control it with their thoughts though?
That's what they're trying to do. They're controlling it by creating a good business, and often get on a cycle of a hamster wheel, working hard to keep it away. It is about thought, but it's a little bit deeper than the thought, because there's an emotional charge with the shadow, and there's a deeper wound.
Yeah, but I meant like the starting point, right? The starting point would be thought and then emotions. So they could kind of move the direction of that anxiety.
Yeah, the first step is, as you say, is awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
Right. Here's a pattern in my life. Yeah. I continue to attract incompetent people around me. Who's the common denominator in that? Yeah. Right. There's continued to be, I continue to get triggered by this kind of employee or these kinds of salespeople. And I have to continue to recycle my sales team because they don't do what I want.
High turnover.
That's likely a projection of something as a leader that I'm doing. So it's awareness and taking personal responsibility okay, so what's in me that's creating this outcome out there? What's in my culture? Rather than firing salespeople, and I was on a team like that. I was the third iteration or the fourth iteration of sales teams within 2 years within this company, and they go, "Wow, we can't hire good salespeople." So they kept on getting rid of the sales team rather than looking at their product offering, their customers, what's happening
Starts
inside.
from within, right?
Yeah. So what I do is always working from the inside out.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. I totally agree.
Entrepreneurs, on the other hand, are really focused generally outwards.
Well, it's not just entrepreneurs, right? It's pretty much majority is just whatever's happening. I was one of them. I lived that life. It was quite hectic, quite frustrating, quite uneasy. When there was happy times, it was really good. Like when you said things are good, oh yes, this is what life is, right? But it was always bumpy. And I think that's why I would like a lot of alcohol, those kind of things. Meeting, you say, hey, let's go for a meeting. It wouldn't be in a coffee shop. It'll be at a restaurant, right? So those kind of habits start you picking up because you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs, they love to drink, and then these things kind of provide them ease. But these are all outside things that are bringing in, right? It doesn't really fix the problem.
Yeah, it's often strategies to get away from the pain and the suffering that's happening in the mind. So it could be drinking to medicate, and medication is one way to do it. Another way is the drama we create in our lives, or we get distracted by social media and other things as an escape. Another escape might be sex or something like this to relieve the pressure of the shadows. But the shadows will never leave us alone.
Never leave us alone unless you deal with them.
Unless we deal with them, unless we go towards them, release them.
Yeah, I love that name, Wisdom Ways.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's very, very, very catchy. And what's that word? Well, like, for example, when I see that, I gravitate to it. Like I want to know more. It's like I find it peaceful. I don't know if that's what you were going with this whole thing, but that's my feedback from it.
Thank you. Well, it's evolved over time in terms of where I am. We all hopefully are evolving, and it's still the root of that was the wisdom within you. So one way to look at it is I've got lots of wisdom, but that I can share. I've got tools and things from my own capacity of doing my own inner work. But ultimately, if I can help individuals and organizations find the wisdom that's inherent in their organization from their experience. So I don't have to know anything about an organization. They know about their organization. What I can do is help them draw out their wisdom from their experience and help point out where they might have limiting beliefs or triggers and emotions that are not serving them and blocking them. Because the shadow works for us for a while by rejecting. Entrepreneurs do great work in the world, often because they're trying to, say, escape poverty or some condition, and they have this cause, this purpose. So this, from our shadow and our wound, our childhood wounding, comes this momentum and this drive to fix something out there. But at some point, that blocks us. At some point that we get stuck because life will have to have us turn around to face the shadow, embrace the shadow. And then we can go leaps and bounds beyond what we could if we're trying to fight for something from the outside world versus allowing it to flow, because our own vibration is attracting peace or it's attracting joy or whatever. So it's right out.
Yeah. And Richard, I don't know if you noticed it, but it's like, everything they say, like everything happens for a reason, right? And COVID is not like something that, I know there's so much bad and there's so much negative about it, but if you look for, there's negative and positive in everything, right? So if you look at the positive in there, what did it do? it brought awareness to human beings, right? It brought them closer to who they are spiritually and inside. You'll see, I'm not sure if you're experiencing it, but there's such an influx of these highly academic and influential and educated people that are in business going towards this kind of education to learn about themselves now. What caused that? You know, like it was always, they're growing, everything was fine. What made it happen? So was COVID for like a reason that, hey, we need to wake these people up? You know what I mean? So I see that so much in people, and regular people and in people in business. They find that they need that clarity of what's going on. And when they start seeing that, they start seeing multiple results happen in their physical life too. So then more people hearing about it, more people are joining. So this, I think the main positive from COVID, I think, is people's awareness. I don't know what your view is on that.
I have learned over time that we live in a perfect world. And that's really,
we make it what we make it.
well, life, we can, if we get to some point, and I struggled with this all my life, and I'm getting closer and closer, and it's a process, but can we truly trust life, that this universe, this life knows exactly what it's doing? It's from the Big Bang to create all that is created, to create this amazing mechanism of the body, mm-hmm. Our minds that can fly to the moon, create these amazing computers, be able to communicate this way. There's something perfect about life. How did that all happen, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing about perfection of life is, if you've got a pattern, say you continue to attract incompetent people, right? It's always in your face.
Yeah, always.
People. If that's your shadow, life has a way of bringing the right people to you. Yeah. Now they're totally the wrong people because you don't want them in your life. Yeah. But life will show you a mirror to say, hey, this is what's inside of you.
Fix it.
I want you to help. I want to help you expose that, the awareness. Mm-hmm. So at the collective level, yes. As you said, what concerns me in some is this polarized part. So I also see the people that are out there, the entrepreneurs. How do we change things? And that's coming from the awareness of what's happening in the world right now. And there's also this tension from the left to right, this duality. Shadow is also about this duality. Can't stand this, but like this. Mm-hmm. Well, we have this collective shadow that's now being exposed in our world through characters like Trump or Biden, whichever one you like or dislike. This is inside of you. That's a projection. Mm-hmm. So if you can't stand liars or the elites, then we want to go back and look in the mirror of what is that we can't stand about that person. What is it we cannot stand about the world? And if I have fear or anxiety about that, what do I do about it inside so that I can serve in more peaceful, loving ways, mm-hmm. and use the appropriate energies and capacity within me, because I own my shadow. If I need to get angry, use that with a sense of love. If I need to lie, then lie authentically, if that's even possible. But the liar is the liar or the cheater are also shadows. And these are things we need to own so that there is some positive qualities within them when we bring them back inside. Yeah. Now, it's hard to see, mm-hmm. especially when you've been trying to fight them all your life.
Mm-hmm. Richard, such a great point that it's like a mirror. It's a reflection of who you are and what's going on inside. And really, we live in such an orderly system. It's very simple. We just have to follow the laws that govern everything, and experience the beautiful things that life does have to offer. We just got to bring that out. Just got to realize that it's an inner game, start realizing that inner game, and you can experience beautiful things. But if you're looking at the shadow, for example, that's always going to be following you if you don't kind of find the right thing that you're looking to experience, right?
It's about it's about cleaning up the things, the room, And using them, when you own the shadow, they become your powers, their capacity. You become more whole. You become more in the moment. You're not dealing with stories in the past. You're not attracting those mirrors anymore.
No.
But the other things that most people do, and entrepreneurs do too, is delay the joy, the love, the peace, the freedom to the future. When I get this goal done, when I get there, then I can relax, play, and be happy. So financial freedom to retire. Right? So we're working hard to get to a place rather than, if we deal with the stuff inside of us, we can have joy, peace, love.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
Freedom, achievement in us right now, all the time.
Yes.
While we're going towards our goals.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Richard, it's such a great way to explain it, because that's literally what it is. You start living a beautiful life now. And really, the whole point is that you only can control now, right? Like, the moment right now is the only time that you can control. You can't control the past. You can't control the future. I was always like that. I was always, okay, I'm going to have to hit that per target. When I get there, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was planning all those things to and it was a struggle. I'm trying to push, and I'm struggling and hit and miss. Oh man, that the results. Oh, I have to look at my results. Oh, what's going on in my results? It was just a monkey mind, a very chaotic way of living, even though it wasn't that bad. Like, I was still doing okay, but I'm saying now that I look back at it, it feels like it was really chaotic, if you really look at it, because now you feel like you're living from inside. Whatever happens, but you're enjoying now. You're enjoying yourself, and you're living in a very, very nice place where you ideally want to live, right?
Yeah. And when you're free from a lot of that monkey mind, you get just so much more clarity and creativity and imagination from the now of what am I to do right now, and there's a whole new world opens up. If somebody's in fight or flight, all the time to our legs and our arms and in the stress, not to our brain.
No,
and we don't have the capacity to think clearly.
Yeah, you can't. You can't have a creative mind when you're dealing with that. Do you work with individuals too, or just businesses?
No, I work with individuals. A lot of my clientele are individuals, entrepreneurs, everyday people.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I meant not like entrepreneur, but like a regular person working 9 to 5, like not in business. That's what anybody at all. I work in terms of that business, and then the on the other side of my business, Elevate Work, working more with cultures, and we do online facilitation in that group, working with relationships and culture, and having genuine connection within the organization, looking at the limiting beliefs also within organizations, how they interact with each other. Because today, if we want to free our world from some of the challenges that we have, we've got to be thinking in different ways together. So as a leader, doing that inner work, because as a leader, that whatever your shadow is, whatever your wound is going to get reflected into the culture. And it's not going to be good for the culture. You'll have a dysfunctional organization. So as a leader, you need to do that inner work. And then there's this interactions of people and their shadows and their belief systems and their values. And is the organization aligned towards the goals and what they want to create? Is it a open container for creativity and innovation? And do we have the capacity as individuals and as groups to meet whatever challenge is presenting us in this disruptive world? Very good, Richard. And I really hope, and I want more and more people like yourself to come out and to spread this kind of message. There's different people have different types of ways of explaining it, right? Like everybody has their own way, but the foundational aspect of it is such a good thing that you're doing, is that, you're providing a way to live better You know, and the more people we have like you out there, the more impact we can make, the more changes we can make, the more lives we can change. So I really hope for that. And I'm very grateful for you to be out there doing this work.
Thank you. And you too, in terms of promoting people. It's important work. We're going through this, I think, an awakening of consciousness in the world. And for dozens of years now, there's been leadership books that are talking about people like ourselves, talking about how to create that inner change and how to lead from a different place. The conscious leadership has been out there for a long time, but now with the pressure in the world, there seems to be a turn to start taking that into action. There were philosophies, they were thinking, but now we're looking at, okay, so how do we implement this? And so there's so many organizations trying to create new ways to create an impact in the world. And that's fabulous. Yeah.
No, it's great.
Getting much more practical.
Well, we always like to ask our guests what their inner superpower is that got them to this point.
Yeah. And I think I told you mine was openness, and I still question that because that was a great question. What's my superpower? And I talked about openness, and I guess the openness that also comes from my own shadow and dealing with my own shadow in a sense, because your gifting comes from the shadow. When I was younger, when I was in university, I was not so open. I was very black, white, right, wrong kind of consciousness. I knew all the answers, and I wasn't, I had to find the answers. I was open to getting new knowledge.
Understood, yeah. But
I also had to be the know-it-all, right? And there's a lack of curiosity and things like this. So there was another value within me which was adventure. And so I started to travel also at an early age, travel outwards around the world. And this gradually opened my worldview to other things and other ways of thinking and being, and allowed me to look in the mirror of who I was. And then the greatest adventure has been that inner adventure inside, and to open myself up, open my heart and mind up to what possibilities and potential I have, and then be able to be curious about what potential is out there for others.
Excellent, Richard.
Yeah. And then finally in the corporate world, I facilitate a process called open space technology, which is, instead of trying to control the groups or people about what they should be doing, you turn it over to the employees in a very open format and let them create and co-create the conference or the meeting, all from ground up, taking responsibility for their own leadership, their own passions in a very open way, which is a phenomenal way to open up the
humanized.
Yeah, humanized, bottom up, really empowering.
Good. That's excellent. And I just started doing this. So I started asking our guest, because you always want to evolve, you always want to do better, right? And you always want to provide more value to the audience. We always like to ask, what's your morning routine like?
My morning routine.
As an entrepreneur, as a business person, what is your morning routine like?
My morning routine is I get up. I don't know that's a good morning routine.
any routine. Everybody has their routine, right? Like in business, you gotta, some people, they don't have a routine. They just go a wing, and that's their passion. That's what they want to do, right? And I've heard that before. Some people say, I wake up whenever I don't even use an alarm, right? So that's just their own passions, their own dreams. So I would just love to hear what you do. That's all.
I spend time just relaxing and in the morning. So I get up. I eat very healthy, so I make a nice meal for myself. Maybe have a coffee, sit and look over the ocean for a while.
You have a nice property.
I might listen to a podcast or check in the news, what's happening from the world events, and then when I'm ready, I buckle down and get to work and sit at my desk.
Awesome. I hope you're subscribed to our show.
I did. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Well, you know what? It's been an honor to have you on the show, Richard. It's been a great talk. And again, great work. Continue on and have a fantastic week.
You too, Shahid. And I love the wings of freedom behind you there.
Thank you.
It's a great symbol for entrepreneurs, for people is what we're really all looking for, is that freedom. And we're trying to find it different ways. We're trying to find it, many cases, out there. And the true freedom is inside. And when we find that inside and we cultivate that inside, then the whole world opens up and we can just be at peace and trust life and trust the moment. So, no
problem. And the funny things about the wings is that when I was going through my transition and I was feeling these things, and I was going through my studies and learning about all this stuff that goes as we were meant to live and all that kind of stuff from inside out. My wife, like, she goes that, hey, I saw these wings, you know, I know you're talking about freedom and all that. Do you want to see it? I go, yeah, show me. She showed me. I said, oh, get them. Because I felt like they came from somewhere. Like I was feeling that, and all of a sudden she sent me, you know, so it was a nice connection. So I had to keep it in the show somehow. That was the story behind them.
Yeah. No, they're great. And things like that, when we're aware, when we're in the now, they just come to us, and you just get this. We get the sense of knowing, okay, I'm supposed to, I don't know why, but I'm supposed to do that. Yeah. We get rid of the anxiety and the trying to be on target and get this done and get on the wheel. We miss the beautiful synchronicity and the freedom that life is trying to guide us towards. And a whole new world opens up for us, a whole new level of.
So true. Brand new world. That's it. Okay, Richard, have a great day. Thank you.